Hello, soul family. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. As usual, we're giving it a few minutes before we start. Few minutes. I'm gonna have to just, I don't know, yesterday I listened to the audio and I picked up that we had a situation, right? We had a situation with the sound. The volume reduced a little bit, even though the quality improved, but the volume reduced as soon as I connected the headsets for the sake of the speaker and filtering out background noises. So I don't know if I should actually do the same thing today from get-go or if I should leave things as is. My concern is the background noises. That's the only thing that I'm really concerned about. I don't want any background noises to come through into the recording because, of course, we are live, and so there's no second take, with this whole thing. So that's really what this is all about. I do feel a little bit like my lipstick is a bit... Okay, well, let's just leave it as is. Right, let's just also give it a few minutes to see who's coming in. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. 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 Mm, 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 mm. Just a few minutes, 1 minute or so. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. 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 Mm, 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 mm. As I always say, I really, really wish I knew the lyrics to this song. I really wish I knew the lyrics, like at least a paragraph, call it. I don't know what they call it in musical terms, but a few words. I really wish I knew them, but yeah, this is as far as I can go, and I still feel so blessed just by saying those things, you know. That's what happens when you're dealing with high frequency music. It's like you just, you know, one thing, you know, one line will just keep you going, you know, it will take you where you need to go. All right, let's see how you're doing this time. Okay, so let's start. Okay, we're gonna center the energies again today. Let's bring in the presence of God. We're bringing in the presence of God, but not because the presence of God is not around. We are literally doing this as a favor to ourselves, because when it comes to God, God is already here, you know. He is everywhere. And we say he for the sake of convenience, but God is beyond genders, you understand? And so we're going to just allow ourselves to basically acknowledge his presence and to allow that presence to permeate every aspect of our being, because we absolutely want his will to be done. And of course, you know, his presence is a safe harbor, it's a refuge, it's a rampart for us against, you know, all negative forces and intentions of narcissists and their overlords. All right. So right hand on the center of the chest. Right, and then we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose. I'll let you know when we start. So, but we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose, fill the belly up with air, and then we're going to hold it for a few seconds, and then we're going to release very slowly through the nose. All right. Okay, so let's go take a deep breath in through the nose. You can close your eyes, you can open them. It's all up to you. I'm closing mine. Hold it. Release slowly through the nose. Another deep breath in through the nose. Fill the belly up with air. Fill it up, fill it up. And hold. Release very slowly through the nose. One last time. Deep breath in. Fill the belly up with air and hold it. Release slowly through the nose. All right, let's release some energy. Just do some deep sighs of relief, 3 of them. So we're gonna go now. All right, shake it a little bit. Shake, shake, shake. All right. Mighty I am, we are asking you to join us now. We know that you're already here. You've invited us here. You've called us here. This is your will. And we have answered. We have surrendered. We have answered your call and surrendered to your will to be here. We're asking that you do your will. You say what you want to say. You tell us what you want us to know. You do what you want to do. Have your way. And we are thanking you in the name I am that I am, because so it is. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Ashe. All right. So today we are going to tackle one of those interesting topics. I don't know if I should say interesting, you know, because I don't want to make it sound bad, and I also don't want to. I don't want to make it sound like it's a, you know, a simplistic thing or a minor thing, right? So I don't want to trivialize it, but I also don't want to amplify it. But We're talking about anxiety, depression, and narcissism. These are two of the most nastiest things, assault that a human being finds themselves dealing with, isn't it? Anxiety and depression. These two, when they literally, and they do, and they almost always are, working together. When they team up to assault the human psyche, I mean, the results can be quite devastating. We're talking about the impact on your body, on your psychology, on your life overall. So today we're going to be looking into what exactly is it that these two are. Firstly, from a spiritual perspective, of course, it will always be from a spiritual perspective because I'm a spiritual practitioner. What is anxiety and depression? And then we're also going to be looking at how to overcome them. All right, using spiritual tools, of course. So before we do that, speaking of me being a spiritual practitioner, yes, I'm a spiritual healer. I'm Spirit Pemi, as per my YouTube channel. If you don't already know, I'm suspecting you are a Soul Tribe member. I'm a spiritual healer, and I'm also the author of the book on Amazon, Healing and Integration for the Wounded Soul. The modern day soul is a wounded soul, and hence the need for this video, this recording, so that we can address one of the biggest assaults on the human psyche, which, anxiety and depression have that trickling effect. And, once anxiety and depression sets whatever it is that it sets in motion in your life, by the time they are done with you, half the time you're not even able to recognize that it's anxiety and depression that has actually done what has happened to you. All right. And so that's why we really need to understand what this thing is. And we're going to address it from the root cause, because remember, the root cause of everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. We are spirit beings. So the source, the cause of everything is always spiritual. So anytime and every time we only deal with an issue from the surface level perspective only, we are literally dealing with symptoms. It's like you've got an apple tree there, and you don't like all these apples falling into your yard, and all you are doing is picking one or two apples off the tree. But that tree is going to keep bearing fruit. Every time that season for it to bear fruit comes, those apples are going to pop up. So we want to deal with this issue from the root cause all the way up. All right. And so I'm answering questions here on the lives. So you are welcome to pose your questions. You are welcome to, if you want me to address them, publicly in this live, you can do that, through the, what you call this thing, the comment section or the chat. And if you want me to address your questions privately, we can do that. You can basically send your email to spiritpemi@gmail.com. Pemi is P-H-E-M-M-Y. P-H-E-M-M-Y, basically. All right. So in English, it would be pronounced Femi, but in Chinese, it will be pronounced Pemi. All right. So it's spiritpemi@gmail.com. You can do that. Now, let's talk about what anxiety and depression is. And before we do that, we're going to talk about the two forces that are in charge of a human being, the human system. All right. These are the negative and positive forces that are the governing principles behind a human being. All right. So there's no running away from that. This is a spiritual fact. Okay. So there are negative and positive forces that are responsible for everything that happens to a human being. All right. And particularly in this so-called dark narcissistic matrix, but for the sake of convenience, my new what you call special line, the sake of convenience. So we will say the dark narcissistic matrix. All right. So not the dark narcissistic matrix, let's say the dark era. So in a dark era, in a dark epoch, right? In the Kali Yuga, and we are coming out of it, but we still have so much momentum that has already been established from the previous thousands of years. So to a certain extent, we would say we are still there and we are coming out of it, right? So in a dark era, humanity is guided and governed by these two forces, the negative and positive forces. Your system, your entire system is governed by that. And remember, you yourself are the universe, literally. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. And as we go along, I might be able to, expound on that so that it makes a little bit more sense. And of course, I'm sure some of you have even, studied these things. You might even know a little bit more than I do, isn't it? You're welcome to share, your input as well in the chat and in the comment section. But so what's happening there is that your system is the universe. So literally, a human system is a universal system. God is so intelligent that anytime a person begins to say, there's no God, I get a little bit concerned, because it's like, how blind do you have to be to miss the fact that there is a God? Like, do you understand the level of intelligence that's involved in basically the creation of a human being, and then the creation of the planet, the Earth, and then the creation of the entire cosmos, the universe, and everything? Like, any force that is able to hold all of that in place in such an organized way, the you have to be, I don't know, that something has to be missing a little bit for you to miss that there is an intelligent force that's at work there. All right. So, and this intelligence is so intelligent that it has made it such that every single individual, with their own unique blueprint and their unique life story, these individuals are literally the universe. Like, your story is the story of the universe. Your story is the story of the Christ as well. Like, literally, the Christ is telling his story through you as well. Like, everything is so connected that, like, the connection is unavoidable. And once again, you can't miss the connection if you look, deep enough, or if you look, long enough. You cannot miss that connection. All right. So what's happening with you in your psyche, what's happening in your life, in your world, in your body, everything, is what's happening outside here. It's what's happening to humanity. Your story is the story of humanity. What is happening with you, your storyline, everything, is what's happening to humanity. You understand? And particularly if you're a real human being, okay? Because remember, if you are a real human being, you are part of the story of God. So if you are not a real human being, your story is a different story, and it might not necessarily be the story of humanity. It might be the story of the devil and his minions. All right. So I wouldn't be talking to that. But if you're a normal human being, so that's what's happening. So now these two forces that are at work in a human being, the positive forces, what they do is they generate life force energy. All right. Because life force energy is what keeps a human being going, right? It's what gives you the positive thoughts and feelings. And you need those positive thoughts and feelings and that life force energy to be able to function well as a human being. All right. So that's what's going on there. And then we've got the negative forces. And what do the negative forces do? They misuse the life force energy. All right. So that's what they do. And then we can easily call it, energy theft, vampirism. And, hence the Bible will say the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So the Bible there is talking about these negative forces of life. So they steal, kill, and destroy. But what that really is, in practical terms, is a misuse of the life force energy within the human being. And so Jesus Christ says, I have come to give you life, and life in abundance. So here we're talking about those positive forces of life, because Jesus Christ is those positive forces of life. Christ is those positive forces. So these are two impulses. All right. So it's not like, you've got one little spirit here and another little spirit there, and then this one is positive, and then it's more like it's a force, it's a wave, it's an impulse, it's an energetic wave, if we should put it that way. And it's not, of course, something that you can see, something that you can touch, something that you can, contain per se. It's not something. It's all pervading and all permeating, if that's the right way to put it. So that's what you're dealing with there. And so these two forces, being, polar opposites of each other, they are at work within our system. And how this came about, of course, it came through, that fall of the angelic stream, that whole story of Lucifer. So when all of that began, when angels began to basically decide to use their own free will, angelic beings, right, higher entities, when they decided to, use their free will against themselves, against God, and against humanity, that's how they started to, create this negative stream of consciousness. There was always going to be a little bit of a polarity that we as human beings are dealing with, but it was never going to be one that is this detrimental to humanity. It was always going to be one that is assisting us to, for example, a little bit of day, a little bit of night, and so on and so forth, so that we can get to this point, this lowest dense point, so that we can then develop the ego, the individual mind. All right. So that was the plan, but it wasn't meant for it to be the way that it is now. But then nonetheless, it happened. And then, God said, we'll let it be. And we'll let that also be part of the curriculum. All right. Remember the parable of the tares, the weeds, the good seeds, and the sower. So that's what it is. So now this impulse, this wave, it has beings inside it. Okay. It has beings inside it. So it starts at the most subtle level where it's just spirit, and then we are dealing with angelic beings, fallen and, exalted beings. So these beings, when you as a human being make reference to them, you don't necessarily see those flying people with wings and things like that. What happens is that you see, what you find yourself dealing with is literally thoughts and feelings. All right. So that's what you will find yourself dealing with, thoughts and feelings. So now those thoughts and feelings are actually the angels themselves or the demons. So when you are dealing with a negative thought or a negative feeling, you are basically dealing with an impulse from the negative stream of consciousness. You are dealing with demons. You understand? The negative forces of life. And when you are dealing with a positive thought and feeling, you are dealing with the positive stream of consciousness. You are dealing with angelic beings. You understand? So those positive thoughts and feelings, they come from the positive forces of life. And you have a lot of them when you have a lot of life force energy within you. So when the positive forces of life what's the word? What's the word? How do I put this? When they give you an influx of life force energy, what happens is you start to feel good, and then you start to think positive thoughts. You understand? But then when that life force energy is depleted, what happens is you start to think negative thoughts and you start to feel bad. You understand? So now let's look at how the negative forces of life make sure that you're always feeling that way, feeling bad, and also thinking negatively. So how that happens is that the negative forces of life create external and internal stressors. All right. External and internal problems, chaos. All right. They literally orchestrate scenarios that will trigger a stress response within you. Because as soon as your stress response is triggered, your immune system becomes triggered. And when the immune system is triggered, then your life force energy starts to be to get expended. Copious amounts of life force energy is coming out of you and is going to attend to whatever that issue is. So if you are stressed, your immune system is working overtime. And then if you are, frustrated in any way, or if your health is, negatively impacted, maybe you are ill, or maybe something has happened to your body, your immune system is working overtime. And if your immune system is working overtime, what that means is that your life force energy is being depleted. And when your life force energy is being depleted, that means those negative thoughts and feelings, they are filling in the gap in your mind, because you are not having enough time to generate those positive thoughts and feelings, because the life force energy is preoccupied somewhere else. So this is that problem, reaction, solution. This is the root cause of the world that we are living in. That is all about problem, reaction, solution. Okay, so this is where it comes from. So this is why, as an individual, when you are overcoming these things within yourself, you are doing it on behalf of humanity as well. All right. So you are doing it for humanity, and you are doing it on behalf of humanity, which is the same thing. All right. So it's that important for you to overcome these negative forces, especially if you are aware of what exactly it is that you are dealing with. All right. So that's what it is. So they create a scenario, either stress or either a physical problem, a physical challenge, or something like that. And now, what's interesting is that in the dark narcissistic matrix, the default state of the human being there is literally this negative state of being, this constant state of anxiety. All right. This constant, we'll call it stressed state, but that's anxiety. So you are constantly having anxiety in the background because your immune system is triggered. So what is anxiety? Anxiety is that moment when your immune system has actually been triggered. And so now you are over energized, but negatively so. So your immune system and your life force energy is preoccupied putting out fires that you might not even be aware of. For example, you are stressed about a work event, you are stressed about the lifestyle that you are living, which is perhaps too busy and, very complicated. And I mean, this world that we are living in, how many people can say that they are living a carefree, stress-free life? There's constantly something that is stressing and just overwhelming you. So because of that, you are constantly stressed. Your immune system is constantly triggered in the background, and you are not even aware. And you are not even aware that in the mind, you have little to no positive thoughts that are being generated because your life force energy is being used elsewhere. And now, because your life force energy is being used elsewhere, that gap where the positive thoughts and feelings were supposed to be, working there in the mind, that gap is filled by the negative and feelings. So these negative forces, they literally create that scenario so that there can be a gap in the mind, so that then they can take hold of the mind through those negative thoughts and feelings. But remember, those negative thoughts and feelings are not just thoughts and feelings. They are not just impulses. They are spiritual entities, demonic entities. You understand? So that's what it is. So that's what anxiety is. So now the mind is is energized in the negative direction, right? So you are thinking all these negative thoughts and feelings, and then it's creating this vicious, cycle, because now you are having to deal with these negative thoughts and feelings, and at the same time, I really apologize for that. By the way, I apologize for also being late today, because I was late. There were a whole lot of things that I was dealing with. Mostly it was a noise issue in my environment, and this time around it was the kind of noise that I could not avoid. Okay, let's go back to this. So now this negative thoughts and feelings, they are further triggering your immune system and your life force energy. So now, literally, the vicious cycle is such that you are never getting a chance to generate positive thoughts and feelings because you are always putting out fires. And the system was designed such that the immune system, for it to be activated in that way, it should be a once in a while kind of a thing. It was never supposed to be an everyday thing. Yet, the modern day human being has been placed in a position where their immune system is constantly triggered. And majority of the time, you're not even aware that your immune system has actually been triggered. Your immune system is overworking. But the minute you have anxiety, the minute you're thinking a whole lot of thoughts in your mind and you can't seem to, sit them still, you must know that your immune system has been triggered, either by, a scenario that has been created, for example, a panic attack type of a situation. These negative forces will point you, and they will also bring in a surge of emotions to support whatever thought that they would have been planting in you. And what they will be doing is they will just throw these things in, and then it's like, oh my gosh, all right, that situation there, I didn't deal with it right, something is wrong there, or someone is doing this and this there, and this situation might happen there if I don't do this and that. And then now you start to panic, and then your immune system is activated, and then you are losing life force energy. You're not aware that you're losing life force energy, and here you are busy trying to figure out how to resolve that situation. You're losing more life force energy. By the time you are done, you have completely depleted your life force energy, and all you have are negative thoughts and feelings. And those negative thoughts and feelings have literally barricaded or blocked access to any positive thoughts and feelings. That's when you become depressed. Okay, your life force energy has been depleted through overthinking, which was intentional by the negative forces, and then now your energy is gone. All right, so this is happening for a little while, low state of being, because your system is still recharging and replenishing itself so that it can generate that life force energy again, from the positive forces. During that time, that's when you are experiencing this depression, because it's not something that just happens, in a split of a second and it's over. It's something that happens for a prolonged period of time. So this is what happens. This is what anxiety and depression are. All right. Let me make sure that I've covered everything that has to do with that. All right, so now what I want to address is the fact that now the reason why it's important for us to understand what anxiety and depression are from a spiritual perspective is to understand also what it takes to really deal with them. Because there is this false impression that has been created, I don't know by who, that you can permanently get rid of anxiety and depression and you will never ever deal with anxiety and depression ever again in your life, and you can press a button and it's completely gone forever. And that's a lie. Okay. And the reason why it's a lie is because anxiety and depression are spiritual entities, and they typically exist independently of you. So anxiety and depression are literally like flies or any kind of pest, you understand? And so with that being the case, what you can do is how you overcome them is by literally creating an environment that is hostile to them. Creating an environment that will make sure that when they come, before they even get to enter, you've already sorted them away or sprayed them away or done whatever it is that you would have done to get rid of them. All right. So that's what happens. That's what, you do with anxiety and depression. You are either going to sort it away, or if you wake up one day and you find that they've already come in through whatever crack and they have gotten a hold of you, what you do is then you need to have the tools to be able to transcend that state of being that they would have, brought you into. You understand? So that's how you deal with anxiety and depression. So which means you want to accept the fact that as long as we are here in this world, anxiety and depression will always be that enemy that's always trying its luck with you. You understand? And so now you don't have to start thinking that there's something wrong with you if you are dealing with anxiety and depression. Because as much as I have already explained now, you already get the point. The fact that this is something that is generated outside of you. You understand? And this is something that's there as long as we are here in the physical realm, and as long as we are still dealing with the dark narcissistic matrix, as long as we have not yet ascended to that level where we are existing beyond all of these things that are happening in this particular paradigm, we are going to find ourselves dealing with anxiety and depression. So when you are dealing with anxiety, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not. So now this thing of, oh, there's something wrong with you because you are feeling depressed or you are feeling anxious. No, anxiety and depression are an illness, but it's happening in your mind. It's just like when you catch the flu virus, another pest. It's a spiritual pest. You understand? So you've caught a pest in your mind, and it's never your fault that you caught flu. It's not your fault that sometimes someone coughs on you and then they give you the virus. It's not your fault that sometimes, for whatever reason, things just so happen to be whatever way, and then you find yourself, dealing with the flu. So in the same way, it's not your fault. So it's never really because, no, you've done something wrong per se, why it is that you are dealing with anxiety and depression. It's because you are human and you are in this planet that you are dealing with anxiety and depression. All right. So that's something that, we need to understand, that yes, you can't get rid of it, because, narcissists will make you feel bad about anxiety and depression as if they don't deal with it, and maybe they don't, because narcissists do not deal with anything. They project it on others. Okay, so maybe we'll say they don't deal with anxiety and depression because they project it on you. They literally dump it on you and run away and hope that when they come back, you would have dealt with that anxiety and depression. Okay, so it's a spiritual crime that they are committing. But once again, you can do that to human beings, but God is watching you. In the words of Mr. Didi, every step that you take, every move that you make, God is watching you. Okay, you can fool human beings, but you cannot fool God. So whatever it is that they do there, that's between them and God. So, but when you are dealing with that thing, just know that it's just something that's happening here, and there's no taboo to it. There's no need for us to be dealing with anxiety and depression the same way that this world has taught us to deal with it, because they want to create this fog around it, this fear around it, so that, and this shame and this low vibrational frequency around it, so that we are so afraid of it that we don't even want to deal with it, address it, to study it, to understand it, so that we can bring solutions to it. All right. But narcissists, I do beg your pardon. Anxiety and depression are a normal part and parcel of the dark narcissistic matrix. That's just how it is. All right. So they are pests, like you have to deal with pests, just like you have to deal with bacteria, just like you have to deal with, viruses. You find yourself dealing with anxiety and depression as well. They are the same thing, and they're coming from the negative forces of life. All right. So let's talk about the 7 spiritual causes of anxiety and depression. So as I've already mentioned, you are dealing with demonic entities, negative thoughts and feelings. And, I've already given at least that foundation with regards to how the negative forces of life work to generate those negative thoughts and feelings in your system. You understand? So these negative forces of life, they work hand in hand with the narcissistic dark matrix and with narcissists. You understand? To create that environment, both internally and externally, to compromise you, to compromise your system. All right. So really, anxiety and depression can be seen as a psychic attack. Okay. They can be seen as a psychic attack in the same way that you've got a pest infestation. It's the same thing. It's a psychic attack. And so you want to address it by literally applying psychic protection, prayer being, one of the most important ones. So you want to be prayerful. You want to raise your vibrational frequency. Why you want to do that? You want to cultivate an environment that is more conducive to the positive forces of life, an environment that is more conducive to feeling good and, thinking positive thoughts in your life. So whatever it is that is necessary to create that environment for it's so important. In the same way that, we would need to have a very clean house, a very clean, environment to avoid pests coming in. You do the same thing as well from a spiritual perspective. You keep your vibrational frequency as high as possible. You have a routine around yourself. You have a lifestyle around yourself that enables you to remain or to generate and maintain that high vibrational frequency state. So you are helping as a co-creator with the divine. You are helping those positive forces of life that gives you that positive impulse. You are helping, them to do their work even easier. You understand? Because the more you drop your vibrational frequency, the more the lower entities have access to you. All right. So that's why you want to keep that vibrational frequency as high as possible. Self-love and care, very important. And I really need to explain what self-love and care is here, because once again, in this world, people will think self-love and care means going to the spa, making yourself look good. I promise you, this look here is only for the YouTube. All right. I do not do this look in my everyday life. I dread doing this look in my everyday life these days. This was something that I previously used to do, and I used to enjoy it because it had its time. But this time around, I prefer to just enjoy just being myself and living my everyday life, because looking good, it's okay to look good and look decent. And this is not necessary to look good and decent. You can still look good and decent without, the makeup and all of those things, right? But the point is, self-love and care is not the external stuff, going for a massage and, doing all sorts of things that narcissists will program humanity into doing, to say always going out and meeting people at a restaurant means you are self-loving and self-caring, or always doing this and that. That's superficial and surface level stuff, means, you are self-loving and caring. And then, of course, those things will be posted on YouTube and all sorts of social media posts there. So that's not what love and care is. Love and care is loving yourself enough to be present with yourself in every state. Whatever it is that you are feeling, to be willing to love yourself in that state, not abandoning yourself. Okay, so when you rush off just because you're feeling depressed, and then you are rushing off to go and, have some lunch or dinner or whatever with people there at the restaurant, and then go party, go living it up, you are abandoning yourself. That's not self-love and care, because you are running away from a crying child. All right, because when you are not present, let's just put it this way. When you are feeling anxious and depressed, or any negative sensation whatsoever in your body or in your mind, it's no different from a crying child. From a spiritual perspective, we will say there is a crying child within you. The inner child is crying. So now when that child is crying, what you don't want to do is run away from that child and start, it's like, can you imagine a child is crying, and instead of attending to that child, you switch on the music and you make it very loud, and then you ignore that crying child. That's not love and care. So love and care is being present with yourself, whether you are feeling good or whether you are feeling positive. I mean, you're feeling negative or feeling bad. Yeah, today it's like, so that's what self-love and care is all about. All right, just being present with yourself, not putting yourself under some kind of, ridiculous standards, not subjecting yourself to unrealistic standards of perfection or whatever it is, even those unrealistic standards of what it means to be happy, what it means to be healthy, emotionally or spiritually or physically. You are not putting yourself, under any kind of pressure whatsoever with regards to having to align to a particular standard. You understand? You are accepting and loving yourself as you are at that point in time. And so now those negative feelings that might be popping up because of the anxiety and depression, how you are loving and caring for yourself is by being present with yourself in that state, to say, it's okay, I'm here for you. Whatever it is that you are feeling, whatever it is that you experience, I'm going to be here until it goes away. Because if you neglect this inner child of yours, what's going to happen is that the demonic entities are going to take this child over. They're going to take over your mind. All right. Because the kingdom belongs to the children. So if you neglect the children, you are basically handing the kingdom over to the demonic forces. All right. So that's a spiritual thing there, but I'm sure you get the point. So that's how you deal with these demonic entities. And then of course, what you do is you disturb the negative stream of thoughts. So you'll be having this negative thoughts, you are anxious, right? So you are so anxious, and this anxiety or this negative stream, this negative momentum can be so well established that it engulfs you and it just gobbles you up, and you are just caught up in it, and you are in this alternate reality where there are all these horrible things that are happening, and they have swallowed you up, and you have become so small, and they've become so bigger than you. And it's like, oh my God, like, how do I even deal with that? And in that state, what you want to do is you want to interfere, you want to disturb. So if you are able to, if that can happen, and so if you are prayerful, as often as possible, and or you even have a routine of prayer, what happens is that somehow that thought will slip in of this thing that I'm talking about now, especially if, for example, we're having this kind of conversation and you know that this is something that you can actually do. Because one of the reasons why you are not able to do some of the things that you can do is because you don't know that you can actually do these things, right? So now what you do is you pause. As you are thinking all these negative thoughts, as you are feeling all these negative feelings, and there's this storm raging all around you, you stop. You just say, wait. And you become present with the present moment. You breathe. This is something that Eckhart Tolle teaches, right? You just disturb those thoughts. You just pause. You don't have to keep up with that momentum. It's not like anything is going to fall apart if you stop thinking for a few seconds. So you stop and you breathe. You just, and you can even do this that we do even here on this channel. And then you direct your attention to something else. And if you don't know what else to direct your attention to, for example, you could direct your attention to something that's in the room or in the space that you are in, maybe a tree, maybe a bottle, maybe a shoe, whatever it is, you could direct your attention there. You are basically just disturbing that momentum of negative thoughts. That's all, because they are riding on that undisturbed or uninterfered with momentum. So if you disturb them, then it's like, you've got this train that's just coming with a whole lot of carriages, and then something happens there, and literally, you put something in front of the front carriage, or the carriage in front, or the first carriage. And then what happens is that all those carriages that are coming from behind, they all just run into each other, and it becomes chaos for the negative stream of consciousness. So those negative thoughts and everything, they basically collapse on themselves. That's what you are doing. And then when you also pause and disturb this momentum, what you can do is say this, which is what Eckhart Tolle will also say that you do. You say something like, I'm not these thoughts. I am not these thoughts. I am not these feelings. So what you are doing is you are acknowledging that you are a separate being, an entity, a separate being from these thoughts and feelings. So whatever it is that they are, you are acknowledging that these are not part of who I am. They are just pests that have come in and have tried to take over. And of course, when negative thoughts and feelings, when they come into your mind, what do? They act as if they are you. They're not going to say, oh, we are negative thoughts and we are here to try and convince you that, this and this and that is bad in your life. No, what they do is they say, oh, my life is so horrible. Oh, things are so bad for me. Look at so and so, what she or he did to me. How can he do that? They ruined my life. Things are so horrible. All those things. So, but it's not you that's thinking those thoughts. It's the negative stream of consciousness thinking those negative thoughts through you. They are pretending to be you. You understand? And so what you need to do is remind them, or remind yourself rather, that I'm not this thought. I am not this feeling. So, and then you ask yourself, who am I? And then you leave that be, no answer. You instead allow yourself to be the spaciousness that you are, to be that, conscious awareness that you are, to be the divine human spirit that you are, because that's who you are. But you don't answer that. You don't even tell yourself that you are the divine human spirit. You just allow yourself to be air. In Setswana here we say moya. It's spirit. Okay, so you allow yourself to be the spirit that you are, and this spirit is that one that the Tao Te Ching will say to you, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So you become that nameless one. You become that nothingness. That's the thing that narcissists are afraid of. All right. So you become that thing. Narcissists are afraid of being the nothingness. They're afraid of being the true divine human spirits that we really are. You understand? I suppose they're afraid of it because they know that it's not their true nature. It's not who they really are. Okay. Because, who they are is the other side, the other people. So you allow yourself to be the present moment. You allow yourself to be one with the present moment, to be the present moment itself by just breathing and just being present. And there's nothing that's going to go wrong by just stopping to think just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. Nothing bad is going to happen. What's instead going to happen is that you're going to be allowing the presence of the divine, the presence of God, to be taking over your body. So you will literally be creating room, creating space for the invisible forces of life, the positive ones, God, can come in and intervene on your behalf. All right. So they'll be doing things that you don't know, and things that you might not even be aware of that they're doing, because, God is much more intelligent than the negative forces of life. We need to understand that. So when you create this space, God comes in and automatically he knows exactly what it is that needs to be done in this situation. And then he begins to do it. And so the more you allow, the presence of God into your space like that, by creating these intervals, what happens is that accident that happened there with those carriages of trains, these negative forces of life, they're beginning to, understand that, oh my God, we actually run into trouble when we deal with this person. You understand? It's going to take a lot for them now to, try and sort themselves up again and then have to come back to you. You understand? So you're becoming a problem to them. And so that means the more you do this thing of making sure that from time to time you are bringing in the presence of God and allowing it to permeate your space and who you are, allowing yourself to be one with the presence, and understanding, remembering that we are one with him, we are in him and he is in us. And who is this that we are one with and we are in him and he's in us? It's spirit. It's the spirit of God. More, yeah. It's spirit. You understand? So we allow ourselves to be there. And then that one, if you're a spirit, you don't have problems. So you can always come back to the physical form and you'll be recharged when you come back. You are still in the physical form, by the way, but I'm talking about to your life story, basically. You can always come back to your life story, your issues, your problems and everything. But whenever it is that you go into the spirit realm and into the present moment, which is the spirit realm, and you are anchored in your body and just breathing and allowing the presence of God to permeate you like that, the more you do that, the more those positive forces are recharging you with positive energy, good thoughts and feelings. And then the more these negative forces, they struggle to reach you, they struggle to really have access to you and all sorts of things. So now they are coming there less and less. What are you doing? It's what do they call this? Pest what do they call it? This situation where you are doing a pest cleaning or whatever it is that they call it. You call these people and then they do this pesticide thing and they are completely getting rid of the pests. I forgot the word because today, okay, my vocabulary is is feeling the fact that I'm not used to doing lives every day. So you are doing that spring cleaning, removing and getting rid of all the pests. All right, that's what you're doing. And so now the pests don't like to hang around you anymore. You understand? So now what are we talking about here? Anxiety and depression doesn't like to play in your space anymore. You understand? So from time to time, because the devil is a fool. The devil is constantly, roaming around trying to seek whom to devour. So once in a while, the devil might try his luck again, but it's not going to be that thing whereby the devil has literally, taken over your your space, right? And then he lives there, and this is his abode. That's not what's going to happen. You understand? You know how pests can just come in and make themselves completely home in your home and make you feel like you are the one that is a pest. So that will not be the case when you are working with God. You understand? So those are the ways that you deal with this anxiety and depression thoughts, these negative thoughts and feelings. So let me just quickly go through that. You apply psychic protection, which is prayer. You pray, the Lord is my shepherd, and all of those things. And you want to believe so because there's a thing called a narcissist. And if you can believe that there is such a thing as a narcissist, and a human being can be as demonic as a narcissist is, you want to apply that same level of faith to God to say, if there is such a horror on earth, then there is an opposite and even more powerful energy, which is God. You understand? So you want to apply that powerful amount of faith to God to say, when I'm saying the Lord is my shepherd, I am declaring this thing. I am accepting this truth. I am aligning myself with this truth, that it's him that walks before me because he's the good shepherd. You understand? He gives me everything that I need when I need it. You understand? He protects me from these demonic entities called narcissists, their overlords, and every other stream in the negative consciousness of life. I think, yeah, whatever that is. So psychic protection, self-love and care, and then disturbing the negative thoughts and feelings. All right. And then the final thing there is, you want to address the issue that might be popping up. Sometimes the anxiety and depression, like all this stream of thoughts that are taking place, so basically after all is said and done, you also want to allow yourself to say, you are no longer afraid of feeling negative feelings or thinking negative thoughts. It's like when negative thoughts pop up, it's like, oh, okay, fine. I'm bringing my presence into the situation. And I know that my presence is carrying the presence of God, because there's only one presence, and it's the presence of God, unless you're a demon or a narcissist. You understand? It's only the presence of God. So you are saying, I'm bringing my presence into the situation, and I'm saying, just like in the same way that a child would be crying and a parent would need to be attending to the child. What's wrong, my child? What is it that's upsetting you, and how can we work around it? And objectively, as an adult, you assess the situation to see, is what this child crying about valid? Is it something that can be addressed, and how can we address that? You allow yourself that. You sit down with yourself, you have your pen and paper, and you write things down. All right. So you write, okay, so what is it? What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling negative. Okay, why am I feeling negative? What thoughts am I thinking that I'm afraid to even admit to myself that I'm thinking? You understand? And maybe you might realize that someone insulted you at work, or someone said something to you, someone did something during the day, something happened, and then it triggered a certain kind of fear in you. And then you want to allow yourself to be honest with yourself about what it is that is, basically affecting you. What is it that's causing you to feel these negative emotions? And then, so you write that down. Okay, fine. I'm feeling horrible because this and this and this happened. All right. And then, so the first step that you do to address that, you become present with those. With it. Why? Because when you invite your presence, you are bringing in the presence of God. So, and the presence of God is light. And what it does, it dissolves darkness. It's literally the same way as a parent who's holding up a crying child and comforting them out of their pain. That's what you are doing. You become present with so you focus first on the crying child, calm the child down. And once the child is calm, then you say, okay, fine. So you said that the issue is this and this and that and that. So how can we deal with that? All right. So what kind of boundaries can we create so that people don't feel that it's okay for them to have certain kinds of conversations with us? Or how can we make sure that, such kind of people do not have access to us? Those kind of things. And then you put in control measures in place to make sure that you are not exposed to things that triggers you in that particular way. You understand? So those are the 4 tools. I really hope they help. Let's see how we're doing with time. So, okay, so I'm going to try and do, because I've got 7 spiritual courses, right? And I'm only at 1. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that I just summarize the rest of them, and then we should be done, because I really feel like I've shared quite a lot with just this one point. Okay, so the second thing that causes anxiety and depression from a spiritual perspective, of course, it's narcissists. Okay, it's narcissists. Now, as long as you have a narcissist in your life, you will be dealing with anxiety and depression. Why? Because they are from a different stream of consciousness. You understand? So whatever stream of consciousness that they are hailing from is always going to be disturbing the environment. Like narcissists, by virtue of their very nature, their being, just like you, if you're a child of God, an empath or a normal human being, your very presence is carrying the presence of God. So which means whenever it is that you enter into a space, it lights up. You understand? The same thing happens with a narcissist. Whenever it is that they enter into a space, there's a disturbance in the vibrational frequency of that. Like, they literally cause issues there. It's like, when someone starts making this screeching sounds with ions and things like that, like, that's basically, that thing that annoys the teeth, that whole thing. That's what narcissists do. You understand? So if you are dealing with a narcissist in your space, you will find yourself dealing with some levels of anxiety and depression, because naturally, just by being there, they are causing problems in the spirit realms. You understand? Because remember, they're always you are carrying God, they are carrying demons. You understand? So it is what it is. So that's what you are dealing with there. And then not only are you dealing with that, that horrible energy field of theirs that they are constantly carrying, which is heavy and just depressing, but then they're also sending negative thoughts your way, because these people are black magicians naturally. So when you are thinking positive thoughts towards whoever it is that's around you, a narcissist is constantly thinking negative thoughts towards those around them. You understand? So many a times, there was a time when the guides showed me, and this is something that, here in this part of the world that I'm living in, we are aware of, black magicians. We will call them witches, even though in English people will say, no, it's not witches, they are good witches. We call them witches, okay? And so these are black magicians. And so what they do is that they will be swearing at you, cursing you, So I won't say the words, but they'll be, just whispering words underneath their lips towards you as they're looking at you. Maybe you guys are coming to meet each other, and then from a distance, you don't see this person is looking at you, and narcissists will be staring at you, like they will give you that evil stare, right? And then, so as they are looking at you, because they have no conscience and everything, so they can stare at you without even blinking or even looking sideways or whatever. And then as they're looking at you like that, they're sending you negative intentions, and underneath their breath, they're busy whispering curses at you. You understand? And sometimes they don't even need to be whispering those curses at you. They will literally just be looking at you and just, sending you negative thoughts and feelings. And negative thoughts and feelings, demons, intentions. All right. So those are the things that you want to be aware of that, that's what narcissists do. So when you have them around you, these are the things that they're doing. And of course, they're always triggering. Over and above that, these 2 things, then they will be saying all these horrible things. They'll be doing these horrible things. They're thinking narcissists are pests. Narcissists are a physical manifestation of these negative forces of life, these demons. Narcissists are human demons. You understand? Narcissists, they are just so annoying. Like, I cannot, I don't know how to even describe it. Like, so they'll be doing all of these things. So now, how do you deal with that? Because that means you're on the receiving end of all of it. You are triggered, you are anxious, and that's why they are so draining. Your energy is constantly drained and everything. And one of these days, I'll do a video about energy vampirism so that we can understand how it works. Because I'll always say, yes, for the sake of convenience for language, we'll say they are stealing your energy. But in true reality, they're not really stealing it. what they are doing is they are causing you to just lose it, to just waste it away, to just expend it futile, um, uselessly. Let's just say that. That's what they do. Okay, but they don't really need that much of your energy, because what the stuff that works for them is the stuff of the negative stream of consciousness, the stuff that is negative. So they are of a negative stream of consciousness. So they don't like energy per se. You understand? And if you look at, if you study their behavior and the things that they do, majority of the time, what you will notice is that they're actually trying to get rid of energy. They're trying to destroy energy. You understand? They don't like light. They don't like goodness. They don't like anything good. They're always trying to destroy good. That's why even when they get into relationships, they're not getting into a relationship to do anything good there or whatever. We will say they're extracting energy, but what they're doing is they're getting into that relationship to just get you to waste your energy. You understand? So they are destroyers, really, more than thieves. You understand? But that's something that we will, tackle in another video. And yes, you're welcome to bring your contributions with regards to that, or your opposing thoughts, perhaps. All right. So how do you deal with this thing? Firstly, psychic protection. Psychic protection, that's the first thing. Secondly, those boundaries. You want to have boundaries. You want to make sure that narcissists do not have the kind of access that they shouldn't be having in your life. All right. So you have boundaries. And then, of course, you want to apply discernment. When you are dealing with narcissists that are already in your life, like, blood relatives and all of those things, it's like, there's a way that you deal with it, which also has to do with psychic protection and boundaries. All right. And then, of course, you also do want to apply discernment, even with them, you understand. But the best protection from a narcissist is no contact. That's the absolute reality. Because, then like literally with every single thing that a narcissist is doing, they are doing something demonic. Like a narcissist could be yawning, for heaven's sake. That would be something demonic that they will be doing. You understand? And in the same way that you, as a child of God, by virtue of being alive, you are, shining the light. And narcissists, by virtue of being alive, they are literally putting down the light, because they are an opposing stream of consciousness. They are an opposing stream of humanity. They are an opposing stream of life. You understand? So, number 3, another cause of anxiety and depression. All right. So basically, protection from narcissists is just staying as far away from them as possible. They will throw tantrums. Of course they will. They will you. Of course they will. They will do everything in their power, and they will even try and hoover you. They will do everything if you stay away from them, but stay away from them. Okay. And of course, they will make it look like they're the ones that don't even want to be with you. It is what it is. Just let it be. And then the third one then is low frequency external environment, right? So this has to do with what are we doing with time? Okay, so low frequency external environment. Now this, the dark narcissistic matrix has set things up, of course, that people are clamped up in certain types of environment where human beings shouldn't. The dark narcissistic matrix does not respect the divine human spirit. The dark narcissistic matrix was designed with narcissists in mind, by narcissists for narcissists. In environments where we are all clamped up together in small little spaces, in true reality, this is something that can only benefit narcissists, because they want to be able to violate those boundaries, those auric-filled boundaries, isn't it? And this kind of things are the things that, are not going to work well for the normal human being, especially if there's no divine intervention, which is why we need to pray like nobody's business. You understand? We need to really apply that psychic protection as much as possible. You understand? So, concrete urban jungles, places where there are little to no trees, little to no nature, there's all sorts of wires and electrical and internet and network energy cords just flying all over the place and everything. Those are low vibrational frequency things. And yes, we know that there are better ways that these things can be done. I know some narcissist apologists would be saying, this is the best that we can have for our time. No, that's not true. There are many, many alternative types of lifestyles, ways of living, and human settlement type of situation that we could be tapping into. But the narcissistic stream of consciousness will not allow human beings to enjoy that, because the narcissistic stream of consciousness needs to feed of humans and humanity's energy, isn't it? So they need to create settings which are very, very compromising to the human psyche. All right. I mean, cities cities are sleeping pods type of environments. I'm sorry if you are living in cities. I've got my own, what do you call this, space issues as well. I think there are very few people that have a challenge with the space that they're living in. You understand? But that's the reality of the situation, that this is something that is basically working against humanity, and that will cause depression and anxiety. All right. That external environment, because if you are so clumped up with people and then people around you are depressed and everything, you're going to feel it, because we are all connected. The only person who's not going to feel other people's, depression is the narcissist, because the narcissist does not see anyone else but themselves. But you as a normal human being, you're going to feel the anxiety and the depression around you. And let's face it, people are anxious and depressed around us because of the lifestyle that the narcissistic dark matrix requires people to live. So that's how you end up feeling anxious and depressed. So are you still feeling bad about the fact that you deal with anxiety and depression from time to time? I don't think so. I don't think you should still be feeling bad about it, because there are so many, so many reasons, so many things, so many layers to the whole situation, so many aspects to it, so many causes of it, that it's like, if you were to blame yourself for it, you are doing yourself a disservice. You understand? So there are so many external things that you have no control over that will be causing that. But thank God, there are still solutions as well, as we are sharing here, isn't it? There's war, there's poverty, there's death, there's disease, there's stress, there's just general disconnection from God. That's the low frequency external environment that we are talking about here. That social media environment of everything that is superficial and shallow, and many a times it's aggressive and just, distorted and all sorts of strange things. And it's not all bad, but we know that majority of it has some serious issues. And then, there's bad music, music which was always meant to be one that raises your vibrational frequency and connects you to God. Now, music is in the same way that buildings, houses, structures were always meant, everything in life was always to be something that reminds us of who we are and who God is. But instead, things have now been perverted, of course, because of the narcissistic dark matrix and its narcissist, so that everything is all about pleasure. Everything is all about literally just feeding energy into the narcissistic dark matrix, the perversion of what is holy. Music is supposed to be setting the tone for a high vibrational frequency so that you can think and feel positive thoughts. Music is supposed to be a vehicle through which we are supposed to be reaching higher states of being. But instead, music has now been turned into something that is supposed to be promoting sex, something that's supposed to be promoting violence, hostility, aggression, just basically mindlessness. That's what has happened to music. Something which is holy and sacred. That's what has happened. I used to think everything was great until one day I woke up and I realized, oh my word, that explains why is it that I had been struggling with such and such and such and such an issue for such a long time. It's because there are so many things that I've been thinking they are normal, which which they are not. Especially for us, even as Africans, there are so many things that they have been ingrained into this whole thing of culture that are just demonic. Like it's and then you'd be thinking, and people would kill you, would get so upset with you for not doing certain things because it's culture, and yet all of those things would just be demons. So there are, or tradition or whatever it is, there are so many things that are just so wrong with the narcissistic dark matrix, and they've been so normalized that we've embraced them, we've accepted them, and we think they are normal, and they are working against us. And then we are wondering, why is it that we are constantly anxious and depressed? All right. So how do we deal with it? You do an elimination diet. All right. So you try and eliminate certain things in your life. For example, I haven't had a TV for a very, very long time because I'm trying to make sure that, there's as little influence as possible from the narcissistic dark matrix into what's happening in my mind. Because many times you are depressed, you are not aware that the reason why you're depressed is because of the programming that you're busy receiving from your favorite shows. You think, this is my favorite show, I'm enjoying it, I love it, it just makes me feel so good. You're not aware that there are some subliminal programs there that are actually keeping you in a very low vibrational frequency. Because, some things can be entertaining. And, we have been literally enslaved by entertainment. That's what has happened to us. A lot of things, we get excited about them because they're entertaining. And we are not aware that entertainment, it can work for the narcissist, but it will not work for a normal human being. Entertainment is not raising your vibrational frequency. Entertainment is not reminding you of who you are. And to overcome the negative forces of life that are coming against you, you need to know who you are. You need to always be aware of who you are and who God is to you and in your life. So we find ourselves literally just caught up in being entertained and just passively receiving programs. And we're not aware that we are actually receiving distortions and programs for us to remain anxious and depressed. So you do an elimination diet. You start eliminating a lot of things, anything. So you basically start looking at your life from a perspective of everything is information. Everything is a program that is designed to produce a certain result within you. And so now you look at and say, okay, fine, this kind of environment that I'm hanging around, what kind of program is it instilling in me? This kind of program that I'm, participating, watching, and enjoying, this kind of entertainment, what is it doing in me? And I know it's a little bit difficult to find things that are, clean in this world. I mean, one of the most difficult things to do in this world is find things that have no sexual connotation in them, which is so sad. And this is why humanity is suffering when it comes to this whole thing with sexual addiction. And many, many narcissistic children being born all over the place because people don't even have, the self-control to be able to abstain from certain activities. But as difficult as it is, there are a lot of alternatives. All right. There are a lot of alternatives. I know you soul type, you are the type of people that like to watch those, animal little clips, isn't it? You will be watching the animal clips, the babies, the cute little babies, the cute little animal clips, panther, whoever, those little 3 seconds or 30 seconds clips where there's Luna Panther or something like that, those kind of things. I watch those ones as well. It's like this big black panther and it's a pet and it's so cute and it's playing with the dogs there. I know we'd rather do those things, isn't it? Like you are safer that way, you are safer in that direction. They still find themselves to slip a whole lot of things into that, but you are safer, watching those kind of things than a lot of things out here in the world. Like anytime you try and, entertain yourself a little bit or try and just relax, and there's some kind of, demonic program that's being tried to, that's being instilled in you, isn't it? So elimination diet, eliminate the things that are not serving you things, you begin to watch and see what impact are these things having on you. A lot of the TV programs that we watch, at night, you are busy dreaming of these things. The next thing, the next day in the morning, you are caught up. Now you think you are even one of the characters in that TV program. Okay, and then now that this character has anxiety and depression, you are also having anxiety and depression. Elimination diet might definitely work quite a lot for that. Let's see what else. Okay, so there's a high price to pay. There's a high, because you'll deal with that FOMO, fear of missing out, whatever. You will deal with that. You will, find yourself feeling like an outsider because, of course, you don't know anymore what everyone else knows. You don't do anymore. But I promise you, you wouldn't have missed out on a whole lot. And when it comes to your peace of mind, I think the price is well worth it, because as much as people can be all keyed up and they know what's up, what's up to date and everything, you are not depressed like them. You are not anxious like them. You are looking at them. They might see you as a fool because you don't do things that they do. You understand? But you rather be the holy fool. You understand? Rather be the holy fool. Rather be the fool that has their own sovereignty and peace of mind, rather than be, this clever person that's fully keyed in and fully locked into the narcissistic dark matrix, and you are nothing but an automaton. Everything that you are doing is literally a program that someone else has set you up for. So you are that robot. And now there are even those robot dances, isn't it? Like now people dance like robots, and it's like, it's so entertaining. We're laughing, and we're not aware that from a spiritual perspective, it's a message, it's a subliminal message that this is where we have come. This is how far we have come. This is that level where we are operating as automatons, robots, being puppeteered by other people that we don't even know. People who have no positive intentions for us. It works for the narcissist, but not for the normal human being. Okay. So there are so many things in this world that we all think, it's for everyone. It's not for you, the child of God. It's for the narcissist. All right. Number 4, low frequency food. Here we're talking about, I will never ever say to you, don't eat this, eat that. I will say to you, have a relationship with the food that you are eating. Ask yourself how it makes you feel. We know sugar is number one suspect. All right. So, and then feel into how it is that you can manage your diet in such a way that it serves you, it gives you that energy that you need, and also look into what nutrients is it that you need that you can feed yourself so that your body can, operate as optimally as possible. All right. And then just know that even when you begin to align yourself, it does not necessarily mean that you will begin to operate in the way that the narcissistic dark matrix expects you to operate. For example, for me, I'm an introvert. Okay, I've been an introvert all my life. And my dream was that one day when I grow up, I will be an extrovert. And that cracks me up. And it never happened. Okay, so that dream never became a reality. Okay, so the more I became spiritual and myself, the more I became introverted, because the more I became who I truly am. All right, so that's something that you need to be aware of, that, because, the narcissistic dark matrix paints introversion in a very negative light. It makes introverts to look like there's something wrong, or you are depressed just because you are an introvert. There's something wrong with you if you don't, tick boxes that the narcissistic dark matrix has required of you to tick, but it will make sure that you never get to tick them. So there are certain expectations that you might be placing on yourself that you shouldn't be placing on yourself, because they are not for you to be placing on yourself. They are simply put there by the narcissistic dark matrix. Release yourself of expectations. All right. That's how you get rid of anxiety and depression as well. Because if you are under pressure to appease anyone, then you can breathe. Because anxiety and depression is also as a result of the fact that you are not breathing, or at best, you are breathing very shallow. And the reason why you are breathing very shallow is because you are too externally focused on what people are thinking about you, what they want you to do, what they don't want you to do. All right. So you want to come home to yourself, and you want to be okay with yourself. You want to accept yourself. You want to embrace yourself, quirks and all. All right. For example, even, for me as a spiritual practitioner, there are so many things that, we deal with as spiritual practitioners, whereby people place crazy, unrealistic expectations on us. Just because you're a spiritual practitioner, that means you should this and this and that, or you should, maybe I should be wearing some monk robes and living in some kind of whatever, I don't know. But and narcissists typically are the ones that would be doing this. Do not put yourself under such kind of pressure. Just because I'm a spiritual practitioner, it doesn't mean I don't have a speech impediment or whatever. You understand? Just because I'm a spiritual practitioner doesn't mean I don't have wounds that I'm still working through. Just because I'm a spiritual practitioner doesn't mean that, I'm absolutely perfect in life and, everything about my life is a smooth sail, because narcissists will be making those kind of comments, oh, why isn't this? Just because I'm a spiritual practitioner doesn't mean I'm going to get 1,000 views on my videos or 1,000,000 views. You understand? It doesn't mean that. Nothing has anything to do with anything. Mine is to align to the truth of who I am and what I'm here to do. That's all. Anything else is an added extra. You understand? So I'm not here to try and meet any particular standard. I'm here to answer the call. That's all. I'm here to do what I'm supposed to be doing here. That's all. And the same thing with you as well. The same thing with all of us who are children of God. We can only but do and be what we are here to do. So what's happening on the outside or what's not happening should not have anything to do with our true worth and value, because that can only come from God. And let's face it, this world does not even recognize or see God. So how on earth will this world see or recognize us if it does not see or recognize God? All right. So we are not looking for our validation or acceptance or belonging or whatever it is, approval from this world. There's only one whose approval and validation is valid and important and necessary for us. That's God. All right. So, let's look at the last one. Sorry, the fifth one. How are we doing with time? Ooh, okay. Technology, we've already touched on that a little bit. That's a root cause also, low and very dense type of technology. So you want to do those EMFR type of protection, whatever it is that you can have, that you can apply. You want to spend a lot of time in nature there. So basically you are cultivating a lifestyle that keeps you in a high vibrational frequency, and a routine that does that as well. A happiness routine is what I call it. So you make sure that your day is designed in such a way that there are pots of time as well that you are able to just, relax and enjoy yourself. So there are times when you are working and doing this and that, but there are times when you are really happy. And those times you make sure that they are not the times when you become so passive that you allow the devil to just slip into your psyche. Because, there are times when after work, people want to relax, and then you'd be watching programs and you would not be, noticing that those programs are actually demonic entities entering and slipping into your psyche. So you want to make sure that even when you sit and relax, whatever it is that you're going to be doing at that time, you are going to be consuming content that's going to be raising your vibrational frequency. If you are consuming content, whatever it is that you do must be raising your vibrational frequency. Doesn't mean it makes you energetic, but it just basically, it ministers to you rather than, harms your psyche. All right. So with technology, time in nature, maybe bring in some trees or plants or whatever, if you are able to, in your space, grounding yourself as well. We know that there's this whole voice to skull technology, where people are also being, so that's why you want to wear a tinfoil, I don't know. But what you look into what it is that you can do that will help protect you from this harmful, technology that we are really dealing with. And also when you use your technology, you make sure that you use it for high vibrational frequency stuff as well. All right. So number 6, low frequency areas. So these are some of the things that might contribute, which is here now we're talking about, the geographical areas where there might be ghosts or demonic entities or things like that, and all of that. So psychic protection, smudging, cleansing, praying, whatever it is that you do to cleanse your environment. All right. All right. So all these 6 points that I've shared with you now, they have to do with, the negative forces of life just doing their thing with you to keep you It's a lot, as you can see. It's a lot that the negative forces of life are doing. What an investment in keeping you anxious and depressed. So it must be important for them to keep you in that state, isn't it? So now the seventh one is going to be one that is independent of the negative forces of life. This has to do with your ascension. So if you are going through an ascension, which if you're a normal human being, you will be going through an ascension. So there will be that spiritual awakening crisis. All right. And, you know, a lot of people don't like to speak about it because this will wreak havoc on your health. It will wreak havoc on your mind because you are receiving, you know, high vibrational frequency information, you know, so you are literally receiving light codes, you are receiving, you know, energies and energy forces of sorts, which are much higher than what you are used to. And where we are right now as humanity, we are catching up. We are catching up to where we are supposed to be as humanity. You understand? Because we are ascending, the earth is ascending, so we are catching up to where the earth is so that we can ascend with the earth as well. And so because of that, what's happening is that because of thousands and thousands of years of negative programming, we have been conditioned in one direction. And yet now when it comes to our ascension, because we are supposed to be ascending, the invisible forces of life are now taking us in another direction. So this whole thing will wreak havoc in your system, you understand, because there's a conflict there. Okay, there's a way that you see yourself that you are now having to do 180-degree turning. The way that you see life, there's a way that you see the world around you, there's a way that you see God, there's a way that you see your relationship with God. Everything is changing in that regard. And so that will cause problems. And then not only is that happening, but even in your external environment, things are changing as well. Relationships are falling apart because, you know, people are showing up for who they really are. You know, I mean, nowadays, narcissists are throwing tantrums left, right, center. You understand? So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you don't even know anything about narcissism or about spiritual awakening, that can be very traumatic for you. You understand? And you're not aware that, you know, we are going through a sifting, a purging. And so now everything is coming to the surface so that you can see it for what it is. And you are thinking someone is bewitching you. Meanwhile, things are just showing their true colors. You understand? So when you're going through an ascension, things will fall apart. You know, if you're in a wrong career, you might end up losing that job, or they might fire you, or you might realize that you are working for narcissists and you might start fighting with them and you might start acting out of character. You might start, you know, going through a lot of anxiety and depression even at night. You know, you're just thinking thoughts going up and down. You know, your system is malfunctioning. You understand? Because you're going through a teething phase. It's a metamorphosis. You are going through that phase where you are becoming the goo. You are losing your former self as that caterpillar. You are turning into the butterfly. But that whole, you know, phase between the caterpillar and the butterfly, you don't know who you are anymore. And of course, that will definitely cause anxiety and depression in you, because you will be thinking, oh my God, I lost everything, I lost my life and all of that. So, and yet it's like when those things are falling apart, they're actually falling together. That's what you would be experiencing there. But, you know, because of the narcissistic dark matrix, you might find that when you are dealing with people who don't have spirit inside, they'll be telling you that you are being bewitched once again, things, you've done something wrong, the ancestors are angry with you, God is angry with you, you did this and that wrong or whatever. And I promise you, the invisible forces of life are never angry with you. You understand? Because they know what it's like to be a human being like this. They know exactly what you are dealing with. You understand? That's why the Bible will say we are not with, you know, our mediator is not the kind that does not understand what we are dealing with. Jesus Christ had to walk this planet so that he knows exactly what it means to deal with the kind of challenges that we are dealing with as human beings. You understand? So that's what it is there. And so that's why you want to be loving yourself. You want to be applying all those tools that I shared with you previously to say, okay, fine. This is what's happening right now in my life. What do I have control over? What do I not have control over? How can I surrender? How can I surrender? You know, how can I accept what I don't have control over? How can I allow the invisible forces of life to lead me to where I need to go? Because narcissistic demons will try and convince you that all hope is lost and they have taken complete control and there's no way you can come out of whatever situation that you are in and this is the end of it. They will want you to believe that. You understand? Because they need you to believe that they are that powerful. But you need to understand something. It doesn't matter whatever it is that they do with all these 6 points that I've mentioned here. God is still in control. Everything is still working according to schedule. You understand? God is still in control, in charge of your life, leading, directing, and guiding it, taking you to that desired place. And that desired place is not necessarily a place where you are driving that Ferrari and living in that mansion, because that's a materialistic, narcissistic goal. There's nothing wrong with desiring all those wonderful things, but it shouldn't be because that will make you happy. You understand? Your happiness should be coming from God. So you can be ambitious and aim for certain things, but you should be in a position whereby whether or not you get those things, you are still fine, because that's not what determines your peace, your joy, your happiness. It's God that does that. You understand? So that whether those things go, because if they determine your happiness, the demonic narcissistic stream of consciousness will take from you so that you can be miserable. Okay, so you focus on God, you surrender, you allow him to take you where he needs you to be, and he will do that. You work with the invisible forces. You ask them, what is this situation teaching me? What lesson am I learning here? How is this thing aligning me to my higher truth? How is this taking me to my desired path, to where you want me to go? How is this leading me to the fulfillment of my purpose? How is this elevating me? You understand? How is this blessing me? How is this bringing about my abundance? You ask these questions, you throw them into the atmosphere, instead of thinking, why me? Because that question, why me, is the one that narcissists want you to ask, so that you can get answers why you should be suffering. You understand? So you want to ask the kind of questions that aligns you to that higher vibrational frequency. How can I connect to God? How can I, feel more at peace? How can I accept this situation? How can I grow from it? How can I experience the victory of God in this situation? How can I see the power of God? How can I see your power in this situation? You're talking to him directly. All right. So that's that soul tribe. The situation will be the dark night of the soul that you might find yourself going through. And it will keep coming, as we are elevating, as we are growing. That anxiety and depression state will keep coming from time to time to visit us for whatever reason. Many of them have to do with the ones that I've mentioned here, but I'm sure there might be 1 or 2 or 3 or many others that I might have not mentioned here as well. But as long as you've got the spiritual tools, especially the ones that I've shared with you, and even others that you might have already gotten from other places or even from your own guides, apply these tools, work with them, and let them help you to overcome anxiety and depression. All right. So I hope I've shared everything. I hope you've been blessed by this transmission, Soul Tribe and family. Thank you so much for spending time with me. All right. I really appreciate your presence. And yeah, you're welcome to just send me whatever question or whatever comment that you have, and then we will take it in the next live. Thank you so much. Until next time, remember, consciousness is the new frontier. Namaste.